Gather round. It's time for your Real Estate Chalk Talk with the Hittner Group. Listen closely as your coaches discuss the culture, the economy, and the political scene, and how it affects your home and your real estate investments. Real Estate Chalk Talk is where you learn the science of buying and selling real estate and the art of living in your home. Your education begins in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, so here we go, kids. We are all excited because the spring market is launched and we are rolling. And I would describe the market as mellow yellow.
Mellow yellow.
Just kind of mellow yellow. You know, we have our inventory today is about 5,100 homes on the market, 7-county metropolitan area. A week ago, it was 42 homes fewer, so we only brought 42 homes on the market this
It seems
week.
like though there's a ton of homes coming on the market. Every day you're getting I'm getting so many notifications like
Boom,
somebody
boom.
has a new listing.
Well, think about this, Calvin. So we had about 1,000 houses came on the market this week.
That would make sense.
And about 700 of them sold.
God,
You know,
not
so
seeing
so
that.
that's what it is. You know, you've got some flow through coming on the market.
But net up 300 then, right?
Net up, no, because then you have some cancellations. You got some that get withdrawn. You got all that stuff that's going on. So net increase is 42 homes, week over week. But it was Super Bowl week, so we had a
skyrocketing inventory.
Yeah, sky.
I like how you say spring market and it's 5 below.
Yeah, I know it, but still, it is.
Saw
A year
10
ago,
below this morning on the way to the gym.
So low.
we are about 1,000 homes less than we were pre-COVID. So 19 is kind of benchmark year. That's the last time things were normal. And then we go into the COVID years, and we're like significantly up from COVID years, a couple thousand homes more on the market. And that kind of trend, I think we'll see.
2019. What were rates at, like 2017, 18, 19?
17,
Leading up to
18,
COVID.
Leading up to COVID, probably 4 or 5 in that range. But then we shot up really fast. Actually, in the 4s, shot up like a rocket after COVID.
Yeah. Well, they stopped buying the bonds. Okay, so then days on market is increased. Absorption rate, you look at that. Carver County's at 2.5 months almost. Scott County's at just under 2 months, which means if nothing else came on the market, it'd take 2 months to sell what we've got in inventory. And that's a pretty decent pace, I think. All in all, you know, I think it's a pretty good market. It's not. We got spoiled by the post-COVID and the that market when rates were at 2.5%, 3%. And people were buying ahead and buying stuff that they probably shouldn't have bought, right? Just because it was cheap, and buying when they weren't planning on buying. So we sold ahead quite a bit and all that. So you get spoiled. You think that that's the way it is supposed to be, but what we have right now is the way it's supposed to be. I mean, it's really.
Are you seeing people? So I'm seeing 2 different worlds right now. I'm seeing worlds where we have people offering lower than list price and asking for a closing cost and all this, and we're getting it, right? And then the other side, I'm seeing multiple offers. Same thing. We had one yesterday. Our client got, thank God, but they had 8 offers on the property.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? So there's this
Same price point,
similar price point,
same neighborhoods.
I don't know about that.
Okay.
Probably a condition thing.
Condition of the home, though, is very different.
I 100% agree. I had a situation this past week where we went out on a townhouse that was priced at the top of what things had sold for in that neighborhood. It's not overly improved, but it's in very good condition overall. But it had been sitting on the market. The association is not FHA approved currently.
Okay.
Probably a contributing factor of it sitting
sure.
on the market for a little bit. Small association in Eden Prairie. The townhouse was on for like $329.
We can do a spot approval, not to go down.
So kudos to Loan Depot, and that's the point I wanted to get at is that reached out to Jared and we had a conversation. Jared, of course, your mortgage partner with Loan Depot, and reached out to him. We had a conversation about spot approval. He pulled up the association itself. It had been previously approved. It was just expired.
Yep.
It's been expired for a while, but since it had been previously approved, he was considering it was going to be very easy to get a spot approval. And he said he's like, I'm 6 to 6 a spot approval. So, we should be good to go. I reached out to the listing agent, said, hey, It's not FHA approved, but we're confident in getting a spot approval. We're going to send an offer. And so we ended up getting the deal for, it was $330, let's say, $329.9,
Okay.
$315.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
So we were able
That's
to
great.
negotiate $15,000 off the price in the end. And then had some closing costs kicked in on that deal too.
Ooh.
And they've allowed for a spot approval. We just had the inspection, couple things, negotiated another $2,500 in closing cost concessions, and so there is some negotiation going on there.
Absolutely.
In some properties, in some situations, and then we had another one where it was on for $399. We offer $417. So I felt like this. I was like, this is like a couple years ago. Walked into the house. There's 14 other people in there.
Swarming.
It was very busy, but that's in that kind of high median sales price point, and it's a good house.
Yep.
So we talked about this a little bit last week, and that good inventory is hard to come by. And what I mean by that is you can see a house at $400,000 that stinks. There's a bunch of homeowner jobs done in the home. It still needs updating. The yard looks like crap. It's terrible outside right now, obviously, but you can see that there's deferred maintenance on the exterior. And then another home you come up to, it's the same price, and it's dialed in. They've done the preparation for selling the property, and so that one is going to get the activity. That one is going to sell for multiple offers, and that one's going to get the most money that it can possibly get on the market, versus the other one at $399 that's trash, for lack of a better term, and it will sell for $20,000 less. It'll sit there on the market. They'll do a price reduction, maybe $10K. Now they're at $389.9. Then somebody comes in, offers $375 with $5K back. You negotiate a little bit, and pretty soon you sold it for $20K less than you could have. Maybe you price it at $375 to begin with, and you sell it for $380, like you had one senior. I went through one of your listings, and it was one of these homes that was just trash. Right?
It was.
Just kidding.
I think the listing agent would at least tell him to
I'm just kidding.
clean it up a little bit.
But there were a lot of plugins in the house.
Yes.
So it was at $375 though.
Yeah.
Instead of being priced at $400, and it's not done yet, but it's sold for multiple offers for
twice.
more money.
Yeah.
So
more money.
the case in point, pricing is important. For the product that you have to sell, pricing is super important.
We got there's a lot of shadow inventory at this time of year too. And by shadow inventory, I mean, we're working on things, right now. If you want a lovely 2-story home in Eagan, 4,500 square feet, built in 2018, dialed in. I mean, it's perfect. For just under $800,000.
Wow.
That house, give me a ring-a-ling-a-ling. Can't tell you where it is right now because it's withheld from the market, but that inventory is available. We got another one, a Rambler, an Eagan all-brick Rambler coming on the market. It'll be public in a couple of weeks. We're going to do it in March. But that's another $800,000 Rambler, beautiful. But we're talking, engaged in conversation with people. We got one in Rosemont, 2-story, coming on in Rosemont. I think we're going to finish the lower level on that one, get some more square footage on that house. But that'll be in the mid-5s. Somewhere in that neck. But the point is that there's a lot. We got one in Golden Valley too. A nice one in Golden Valley would be about $400,000 over by General Mills. So you've got a lot of that kind of inventory that's already out there that is not reflected in these numbers that we talked about.
Why? You said earlier you'd probably wait till March for that one. Why?
Well, we wanted to get past. On a lot of properties, they're pushed by the first-time home buyer move-ups. So especially these 2-stories. I mean, these are second or third homes for people.
Okay.
So all the whole chain is driven by rents. So when do the leases come due? So the leases are coming due in May and in June. So those people that have leases coming due that have decided that they're going to stop renting and start owning, they start shopping about 60 days prior to that. So that's kind of the...
But that's not for these homes. These are $800,000
No,
homes.
but the guy that has a split-entry home that wants to go up into this $800,000 home, his buyer's coming out of...
Got it. There it is. Okay.
Maybe a townhome, and then the buyer of the townhome is coming out of an apartment.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it's all... The whole market is driven by the rents. And new construction, because a lot of new construction slows in the winter. It's more expensive to build in the winter, so they'll slow. and then in the spring, new developments start. New phases open up, and it's just more activity. The spring preview and all that stuff happens. And
yeah, getting a lot of emails from builders on their new communities that they're
yeah.
starting and reintroducing for the spring market certainly right now. So if you're considering making a move, give us a call, 612-627-8000. That's 612-627-8000. And if you want to check your home value or search for properties, you can log on to our website, hittnergroup.com, HITTNER group.com. One more time, hittnergroup.com. And give us a call, 612-627-8000. We'll be right back.
Hey, welcome back. Thanks for sticking around. We are going to answer one of the great questions of all time right now with Dr. Jack in the studio, and that is why we have had such a difficult time with our first-time homebuyer market. That market has really slowed compared to previous years, as we've got people who are hesitating to make that move into the first. And we've been joking about it for years, Jack, about how they're living in mommy and daddy's basement, and it's very comfortable there. You've written a book called The Parents' Launch Code. Right. Why don't you just give us a little background, first of all, about what got you interested in that, why you did that, what caused you, or why you wrote the book, and kind of a little bit about that. Just
sure.
The book itself.
Well, I did my dissertation at Madison, Wisconsin, and looked at healthy separation of adolescents from their parents, and then fast forward, started to in the last 10 years, started seeing parents are having trouble with their kids staying at home and not transitioning into adulthood. And at the time, I had 3 young adults, so I had kind of the experience of some of this research work as well as having 3 young adults myself. And there's a lot of service or resources out there for parents with young adults who are kind of struggling with launching these kids. So,
what do you mean by launching?
well, it's really about the process that parents and young adults participate in together to help the young adult move into adulthood, into self-sufficient, independent, responsible adulthood. The twist I put on that is, in my goal, both in the writing of the book and in my clinical work, is to do that in as a positive a way as possible and retain a caring connection with the parents. Because right now we're seeing a growing experience of estrangement with young adults.
Oh, really?
Like one out of 4 will cut off relationships with parents.
For what reason?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's not really clear. It could be just I want to show them I can do it on my own.
Okay.
Could be some unresolved issues that are going on. In some cases, they cut it off, indefinitely too, which is really heartbreaking for parents when that happens, and both parties lose. So my goal is try to, move upstream and prevent that from happening, and it's going pretty well for me. And I think the book, I outline the process that parents need to use to ensure that they're launching in the right way and continuing to have this positive relationship with their kids when they leave.
What's the causality of this? I just reflected on our relationship. When I was a kid, it was just assumed that by my parents that after I graduated from high school or got out of college or whatever it was, that I would leave. I mean, that was kind of the assumption, is that he's leaving, and there was no paying for anything. If I was going to, I could either have money for school or I could stay at home and pay for my own school or whatever it is. But I'm on my own. Keith bought his first house how old?
I was 21.
21 years old, and he bought the townhouse that he had.
Yep.
Okay. 21 years old, and I know as a parent, I always felt that it was my job to make him independent. That's my job. As soon as he can be on his own, then I've done my work. I think that attitude has changed with people.
Oh, absolutely. There aren't too many 21-year-olds that are buying houses these days.
Absolutely.
Did you know that?
Average first-time homebuyer now is what, 30-something, 34?
Yeah, you were
like
looking up the stats between men and women too, and how that is different.
Between for single home buyers, women buy twice as much as men. And it's like, why is that? What's going on with guys that they are having this difficult time striking out on their own and starting life?
Women are doing a lot better. Young adult women are doing a lot better than young adult males. Right now it's about 60-40 females graduating from college to males. 50 years ago it was just reverse. So things have changed that way, and women are doing better. More women are graduating with bachelor's degrees than men. So it somehow kind of shifted over that period of time. But to your point about what's changed here, I think we have this kind of elongation of young adulthood. And I was in the same experience. I never thought of going back home after college, and I can guarantee you my parents never expected me to show up at the doorstep either.
Yeah, if you would have, they said, "What are you doing here?
Did
you come for dinner?
You're here for dinner or what?
Yeah, what are those suitcases?
Absolutely.
Want me to help you put them back in the car for you?"
Yeah. So I think it's been a combination of factors, but clearly in my mind, and I'm talking about the boomer generation, I suspect you're the boomer generation, I think we began to invest much more in the success and happiness of our kids than past generations. Past generations, hey, I raised you, you're 18, I'm done. I did my job. I'm over. But now it's like, well, if you're not happy and you're 19 or you're 20 and you're not doing well or you're struggling, I need to stay involved. So parents are staying more involved than they have in the past.
Is that hurting them?
Well, there's a plus and a minus to that. I think it can be helpful if they stay involved in the right way, and that is support their independence and their movement toward responsible independence and self-sufficiency. If their support is, oh, you can't do that, that might be hard for you, or, I got to do that for you, if they're in that kind of more enabling kind of approach to parenting, that's not going to be helpful for them. So that's part of the problem. Right now, if you look, there's some research saying that 44% of parents want their young adult to be their best friend. Over 50% of young adults identify one parent as their best friend. So the generation that's parent-adult relationships are closer these days, and that may be harder for either party to let go at this point in time. And I think we're just seeing more support for experimentation, exploring. Take your time figuring out what you want to do, where you want to go.
Take a gap year. Travel, do your thing, find yourself. It's all bullshit.
Right. We never had a gap year.
Right.
Calvin's got a couple.
I didn't have a gap year.
Calvin's a perfect example that we can talk about here that has a couple of kids that are launching. So.
Yeah. I mean, if I had proposed a gap year, this is no way you're going to have a gap. You get a job, you get to work or go to school.
That's your gap, is you can work.
Right. Yeah. So what's happening now is young adults 18 to 29, that's the age bracket I'm talking about, changed jobs 7 times during their 20s. That was not. You got a job years ago, and particularly our parents. Yeah. You got a job, you stayed there for 30, 40 years,
Right.
Right now, the age of first marriage for males is 30 and for females is 29. That's a good thing in my mind because
you're a little more mature.
Get things together.
But they're not mature, though. That's the point.
Yeah. In some ways they may not be, but I mean, at least they know who they are. They've tried a lot of jobs. They're settling down. Typically, they don't settle into a career until early 30s. So I think us as boomer parents need to be able to adjust our expectations. It's got to be different. This is not the way I experienced it, and that leads to a certain amount of frustration. Well, how come?
Well, because we created it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot.
Yeah, you're saying you should change your expectation, but why? Why do we need to change that? Shouldn't we have an expectation that you get going and we don't have to? Because now we just coddle everybody.
Yeah.
And it's such. I just.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's
This is coming from the coddler, the chief coddler here.
Yep. Oh, for sure, for sure.
It's
right?
probably
I think we're all guilty of it.
Yeah, it's probably an extreme example or being a stereotypic example, but when you have a young adult and the the characterization these days is they're entitled. They're part of the trophy generation.
Right.
But then I say, well, who entitled them?
Yeah.
If they are, it comes back to us.
Yeah.
We've done that. We give them all a trophy. We say, oh, you lost, well, that's okay. It's no big deal. No, we're not as tough on our kids, and I think that leads to them not developing a certain amount of grit and resilience that they need to have to be able to move more quickly on that process. So
I think I'm a little on the other side of that.
What do you? About being hard, you mean?
Yeah, I'm kind of, Yep.
Maybe. Yeah, that may be true. But you grew up hard too. I mean, I was not. You didn't have. I was not easy on this one,
Because I was not easy.
Because he was not easy.
Well, we learn our parenting styles from our parents, and if we're on autopilot, we're our parents.
And that's right, and
we hear the voice of our parents coming out of our mouth and go, "Oh my gosh!" So,
all right. So then we got to head out to break. But when we come back, I want to talk about the skipped generation, and that is the grandparents' influence on these same kids and what the impact that has.
We're going to head out to break here. This is Real Estate Chalk Talk. Log on to our website, hittnergroup.com. Give us a call, 612-627-8000. That number again is 612-627-8000, and we will be.
Hey, welcome back. Thanks for sticking around. We're talking with Dr. Jack, author of the Parents Launch Code, and we're talking about, for us in real estate, why kids are not getting out of the basement of mommy and daddy's house and going and buying a house, or why they're getting stuck in an apartment for years and years and years and not able to purchase a home and start building a life.
Can we get some contact information if people want to reach out and get more information from you? How do they do that?
Yeah, so my website is called parentslettinggo.com.
Okay.
So they can certainly get sign up there for the newsletter, and there's I give information there about how to contact me if they wanted to see me, for counseling services too. So
what is your practice? You're a
psychologist.
Yeah. So you're doing counseling, doing all that deal.
Yeah, and
this is an area of emphasis.
This is exclusively what I'm doing right now. I'm just working with parents, and I don't work a lot with the young adult. I try to get them connected to somebody else. So yeah.
So there's, we think about when people are trying to buy a house. I've heard all the excuses. The interest rates are high, the prices are high, all of this stuff. And I reflect back on myself, because that's my point of reference. I bought a house in South Minneapolis right out of college. I made $18,000 a year. The house was $70,000. And you just make do. Because we didn't have the gym memberships, we didn't have the this. I went to a private school, paid my own way through school, worked, and paid my way. When I got married, my father-in-law had an appointment set for me at the bank, so that I could assume the notes for sending his daughter to college. So that was my wedding present. Is I got to pay off my wife's college education. Anyhow, but the point of it is we made do, and we bought a house, and it was a
so
team
you
effort.
do when you get married.
Yeah,
you get her and the debt.
Yeah. Anyhow, things were, but it's all relative. So now kids come out of school, they're making, you go out of trade school. If someone is in the trades, they come out, they're making $100,000 a year, and they get a brand new pickup truck. So
I don't think they come out making 100.
They do
not out of trades, not year one.
Well, not year one. No, maybe it's 80.
Yeah. But that's
still enough to buy it.
Make good money.
You're making good money.
Are you though?
Relative, yeah.
Yeah.
So then you can buy a townhouse. You can buy this.
How much is everything nowadays?
Well, but you don't go buy a $100,000 pickup truck. You buy a used vehicle that's
for
$55, or for $25.
Yeah, there you go.
And you don't have the gym membership. So to me, it's like, and maybe I'm wrong, is there's no sense of sacrificing or giving up the pleasures for the building of a future life. Am I wrong there?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think that's part of the part of the softer kind of parenting that's going on that the kids have not learned to be able to save, to be able to, delay their gratification on something because they want to save. That's kind of going to the wayside.
Yeah, it's instant gratification.
Yeah,
It's
I want it now. I got money. I'll buy it.
Yeah,
Well, then I don't have any money for something down the road.
So hard with my kids, and I use all my kids as an example. But I'll give my 15-year-old $80 and it's gone by 4 p.m.
Yeah.
And I give my 12, almost 13-year-old son $80 and he has it for 3 weeks. And he rations and he decides what he's going to buy and he doesn't run to the mall and spend it all.
Yeah.
And so I try to work with my 15-year-old, especially because she's closer to launching than any of them.
Yeah.
Get a job, then we'll get you a bank account, and we'll show you how to manage money and all these different things. And it's a challenge.
Yeah. Well, how do you explain the difference between those two kids? You raised them the same, right?
Same house.
Yeah. I don't know how to answer that question. I really don't. I have to think about it. What is it?
What is it?
Your kids are going to have tendencies towards one parent or the other, and the characteristics of that parent are going to kind of prove themselves out, I think.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I would say my late wife was far more lenient. I would say I was going to say generous, but lenient in you want that, you get that. Oh, you want that, you get that, because we're in a financial position to do that. Well, that doesn't teach the kid anything.
Yeah.
And so, and also my son buys more big ticket items. He fishes, he plays hockey, he does these things. So what he wants costs more money. It's not going to buy a pair of pants and a shirt, even though that's $150 nowadays with what these girls are buying.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a little bit of that too, where it just takes a little more effort to get what you want.
Yeah, I think another explanation is temperament, personality. It's kind of hardwiring that went into these two kids that causes these differences. And that's why I think parents can't just parent the same with each one. You're going to have to take a different approach.
So now I'm like, I feel like I'm being very hard on my 15-year-old, and to me, I'm like, well, I'll probably be that way with you too, Keith, when you get to be that age but he's like, I want a job. I want to go where I can work right now. I would. That's his position.
Yeah.
And my 15-year-old, she'll be 16 in May, and she'll be able to get her car, but I'm like, I'm not paying for your insurance. I'm not buying you a car. So you need to get a job in advance of that so you can save up money, and I'll match you. You come up with $5,000, I'll contribute $5,000.
Yep.
And then you can go get a $10,000 car. So that will be my contribution. But if you don't put in the effort in advance, you're not going to get a car day one.
Yeah, that's a very good parental approach. Is they got to have skin in the game.
Yeah,
100%.
Do some matching. I'll start you out with seed, but you got to step up. Show me. You're not getting any more support unless you show me you're stepping up on this.
So the other day I said, look, your phone is a privilege. I pay $100 a month for that phone. Now the phone is going to go away because you haven't shown me effort that you're out applying for jobs. So that privilege is going to be taken away. Next day, I've applied to here, I've applied to here, I've applied to here, I've applied. Okay.
Anything to keep that phone.
Yeah.
Correct.
Their kids call him Daddy Trump. Just threat.
Yeah.
Well, it's encouraging in a way,
It's encouraging
but I
behavior,
want them to follow through with the things that we've discussed that are appropriate. I'm not asking you to do anything inappropriate.
Yeah.
These are things that are going to help you long term. My job as a father is to make sure that you're ready to hit the ground running when you're 18 years old. That's my job. I love you to death, but my job is to make sure you're ready for real life.
How do grandparents play into all this then? Do they exacerbate the problem, or
Get in the way.
is it neutral?
Well, I think that it can go both ways. Certainly, there's the kind of reputation of grandparents. We get to give them candy and spoil them, and then we send them back home to you and all.
Sugar them up and send them home.
Right, but I think as they get older, kids may be looking for some kind of advice, mentoring outside of their parents. I don't want to be told what to do. And if the grandparent has a good relationship, they can play a really important role in helping with that transition, helping to think about how are you going to make the next move in terms of your independence? What are you doing to kind of build who you are establish.
What can a grandparent do then to reinforce the work that the parent is doing and not be an obstruction to it?
Well, I think they have to be, on the same page, and that would be how are the parents and the grandparents helping this person become more independent and more self-sufficient. So if they're both working toward that end, I think you got a good collaboration there too. And sometimes you can kind of split off. Hey, Dad, to your grandparent, can you take our son and show him something where you worked or something? Play a role in that kind of career development type of thing. But all toward the end of helping them move toward this self-sufficiency and responsible independence.
What about modeling? I mean, people, kids are wonderful at looking at their parents and looking at people and modeling the behavior.
Oh, sure.
So it's, do as I say, not as I do kind of a
Sure.
scenario. How important is that?
Oh, yeah. It's that's the most powerful learning system is modeling, because it's what they see. And I think you can demonstrate that, and I think you can talk about it. Like you were saying, Keith, I mean, you have to work, you do your work, and this is the value in it, and what you are able to achieve and accomplish through that. Show the kids how that works. Sometimes they don't get that information. You think it's you go off and you come back and
it's easy for you to say you've got all that money.
Yeah, we don't have a ton of time. 50 seconds left. You have a book here. Where can they get your book? And we can talk about that in the fourth segment too. But let's get that. Books are great for people with teenage parents and pre-teenage parents, especially in my opinion. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's called The Parents Launch Code: Loving and Letting Go of the Young Adult or the Adult Children. And it's really pulling those two things together. You let go and love. You love them and you help them out the door, basically. So, and you can get that at Amazon. So.
Okay.
What's it called?
The Parents Launch Code.
The Parents Launch Code. You can search it on Amazon and buy it there. We're going to come back for our fourth and final segment of the show. This is Real Estate Chalk Talk. Our website is hittnergroup.com, HITTNER group.com.
Hey there, welcome back. Thanks for sticking around, staying with us. A big money segment of the program where we find out about those great rates from Calvin Kamick. Loan Depot, 651-231-2500. 651-231-2500. Calvin, what you got for us?
Well, we got a number of things I'm just going to touch on briefly, and then I'd like to get back with Dr. Jack and ask him some questions. He has a book that he wrote, The Parents Launch Code, and we want to keep exploring some of that stuff. And you do a good job of asking questions, but now it's my turn, so that's great. So talk a little bit about the mortgage and money markets real quick. Here's the headlines for the week. Despite decent start, despite higher annual producer prices. Next headline, CPI came in hot, bonds reacted logically. Next headline, mortgage rates highest in nearly a month after inflation report. Next headline, bonds obliterated by sharply higher inflation. So a lot of headlines, again, contradicting one another. But inflation rose by 0.5%. They estimated it to go up by 0.3, so 0.2 made everybody nervous.
Right.
We're seeing so all of that says rates should be higher. We're actually seeing a little bit of a rally this morning, going down a little bit, but rates stay relatively the same. And we talk every week, and it's like you'd love to say something dramatic's happening. Nothing's happening. Right. Rates move a little bit one way or the other. We talked a couple weeks ago about where rates are going to be this year, and we went through Fannie Mae, Mortgage Bankers Association, National Association of Home Builders, Realtor.com, all these, and everybody is saying we're going to be mid-sixes, low sixes by the end of the year. We are high sixes right now. I just did one.
FHA, maybe you can get 6.5.
Yeah, for sure. And
we locked at 6.75 with a client this past week. That was conventional.
Yep. So you're kind of right in that range.
Sure.
Anyway, so I don't know that we're going to have tons of movement all year, and we'll see what the Fed does, and we'll see what I just think get comfortable with high sixes, mid sixes. We're doing, like I did a 2-1 buy down this week, and we started at 4.9 or 4.875.
Okay.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Right? And then they go 5.875, and then they go 6 point.
Right.
Now, by that time,
You
hopefully
got 3 years to work it out.
Yep. And that's kind of the thought process. They qualified at the higher rate, which you have to, but they loved that lower payment to start.
Right.
We had seller paid closing costs, so we used that money to just do the buy down, and it works wonderfully. So there's ways to make this make sense, and I don't think rates are keeping anybody from doing anything.
I don't think so either.
Right
I think
now,
it's an excuse now. A lot of
I took out a loan in 22 years ago on a single family home that I bought, and it was 6.875.
Yeah, right.
So,
got you a little special.
Right
got
where,
you a little special.
yeah, you got me a deal then.
Got
Thanks.
you a deal 20 years ago. God, I'm old.
Yeah.
Isn't it? You think about that, isn't it? That's crazy. So, rates are okay. We're busy. We're busy pre-approving people, but I don't feel like the market's kicked off yet.
No, it hasn't.
Not for our side. And our side, we get
Mellow yellow.
Yep, just kind of like that's probably a good way to state it.
Yeah.
So it is. It's okay, but we need people to start taking action. And I hope the spring market comes around from a weather standpoint and from a, we get paid on closed loans, not on pre-approvals.
Right,
so
right.
we got to get people pre-approved, find the homes, put good deals together for people, and then let's get them closed.
And there's
up.
stuff to
So
look at. I mean,
there's stuff to look at.
we've
It's
been
not
showing
that.
houses all over the Twin Cities, and there's always something to look at. There's no shortage, I don't think.
No, so all that's good. So I want to get back to Dr. Jack, if that's okay. Ask some
go
questions. So I'm looking at his book here, right? And I just want you to kind of explain the premise of the book and what you're doing. But on the front cover, it says it's got like 10. It's got people can kind of see it there a little bit, but 10 spots. So it starts love, relate, and then it goes apologize, forgive, show backbone, and let go. Walk through that thought process, and then then I'll go with some additional questions.
Yeah, sure. This is what I propose that the launch code is 6 practices. The first one is the kids need to know that they're loved unconditionally. That secures that relationship and their willingness to risk. Because I know I obviously have dad or mom love me no matter what. So that's foundational. The second one is that I think parents need to not just say, okay, they're getting to be this young adult, I just need to back off, not do anything anymore. I don't agree with that. I think what you need to do is shift your approach from command and control to consulting and collaborating and partnering with the young adult and say, how can we help you move forward in terms of your identity or your independence? So you keep supporting, but you shift the support in that direction. And then there's some skills that I talk about that are important to that. The area of apology and forgiveness, I think parents are the guiltiest segment of our society. And particularly since this new, with the boomer generation, we've invested so much in their success and happiness. And if they're not successful or happy, or they're having serious problems, what did we do as a parent? It must have been something. Or maybe because I went through that divorce, that did it. Now you can't put too much pressure on them or whatever. So I help parents to say, apologize. Go back and identify some specific things that you did, or if the young adult says, hey, this bothered me that this happened, and just apologize for it. You don't add but or however you were really a jerk as a kid. You just say, I am sorry I did this. That relieves the guilt for the parent and softens the potential for resentment and holding on to that with the young adult. And then
do you guys want to talk through some stuff right
Sorry
now?
about that, whatever it was. Okay. We can move on.
Yeah, we can have a little counseling session here if you'd like.
Good job, guys.
Sorry about that.
As of Saturday, I'll have 2 teenagers of my own. So.
Yeah, and with forgiveness is parents need to forgive themselves, but sometimes they need to forgive the kid. If you got a kid that's just a hellraiser and drug abuse issues and stuff, and they've just created all kinds of problems, and they're so angry, parents are angry, they need to forgive that kid because they need to be able to soften that feeling toward that kid to be able to launch in that positive way. Backbone is the next one. That's bringing together love with, saying no, setting boundaries. I mean, no's not a 4-letter word. You got to just learn to do that and to stand your ground at that point in time. So because you can't really launch from something that's kind of mushy and soft. It's
right.
like a kid trying to get a kid out of Jello, a big vat of Jello, and you can't get out. You need that. You need something firm, and that's the principles and the values of the parents. Provide that firmness that says, okay, you got to stand up on your own at this point. So, and then the last one is just letting go, saying goodbye. And I have parents write a letter as if the young adult's going off to Europe or someplace they may not see him again, what they want to say to him. I love you. I'm sorry for things that happen. I hope you have the best for you. But it's a way of closure for the parents and a way of saying goodbye to the young adult too. So there's each chapter. Actually, Backbone has 2 chapters, but the chapters are related to these 6 practices.
Did you bring copies of this book for everybody in the studio today?
I got one copy.
Especially Calvin.
Especially Calvin. Right.
Well, just a side. My oldest son is 26, and we were talking, and because health insurance runs out, all this, and he went.
Oh, sure.
He's in Spain playing basketball now. He's getting to
Where does he live?
He lives between my place yet and his mom's place yet, right? So, but I told him, I said, when the entire country says you're done, I am too. So because at age 26, everything shuts. You can't carry insurance. This, and that's when we did the final shift of every expense and. But it's tough. It's tough to do, and we'll give each other a bad time back and forth always. But I think it's a really tough thing to do to figure out how to do that properly. Where did you get the concept of this? You talked about, was it your dissertation?
Well, it kind of built off of that, and the idea that in my dissertation I basically demonstrated that the kids, comparing a group of drug abusing delinquent kids with a control group. The control group showed that where they had good relationships with parents, they were more likely to have this emotional separation because they experienced both love and autonomy. The delinquent group had higher scores on autonomy, but they didn't have the love score in there. Parents said, you can do whatever you want, I don't care, type of thing. So that forms the kind of foundation of saying, you got to be sure that you're building this loving relationship along the way with your kids, and not just saying, okay, I'm done, you're out of here, type of thing. So, and then this is really my models that I came up with. So,
that's great. How can people reach you again?
Yeah, parentslettinggo.com, because it speaks to what parents, I think, need to do these days, and that's my focus. So I work with parents. I sometimes refer their young adult to counseling if it's appropriate, but my role is basically helping parents figure out how to launch the young adult into the self-sufficient independence while maintaining a caring connection with them.
Thank you for coming in, Dr. Jack. It's been a great show. Calvin Kamick, you can get in touch with him at 651-231-2500. ParentsLettingGo.com, and then the Parents Launch Code on Amazon. You can find all that information there. This is Real Estate Chalk Talk. We'll see you next week.